You cannot afford to miss a single moment of the next hour. Get ready to have your ideas about sexuality, love, and relationships blown wide open. It's time to get educated, entertained, and enlightened, as well as sexually empowered. You have now tuned into the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show. Now, here's your host, Tanja Diamond.
Hello, everybody. I'm telling you, the craziest stuff gets talked about before the show and on some of the breaks.
Right
and
before
I don't know
it starts.
If you want me to share what we were talking about, Josh, because you got to remember there are, thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people listening all around the world to us right now.
This is true.
This
is true.
It might completely skew.
It might change what everybody thinks about me so far.
I don't think we should say what we were talking about.
It's all a question of what women want. That's all I want to know.
Before the show today, we were out shooting some videos, answering some of the questions that men have about women. Pretty interesting stuff.
Great answers.
Yes, they were. They were great. Well, because I answered them.
I know they were great answers. I'm not just complimenting you. I'm commenting on the quality of the
You hear the phone in the background? That's
People
cool.
Are calling. They want to know what we were talking about.
No, they want to know what in the heck we were talking about before we got on the show. What's up with Josh?
Well, I'm going to need a phone call to start to reveal that.
Oh, we have a guest. All right. We have our guest. Our guest tonight is David Leonard, and David has written a cool book, and I'm going to let him say hi, and I'm going to let him tell you what it's called. But I'm very much looking forward to this. I think this is going to be so much fun.
I'm excited.
All right. Hey, David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm really great. How are you?
I am amazingly fabulous.
All right.
Welcome to the show, David.
I'll have what she's having.
Exactly. Exactly. And the other voice you hear is Josh, my co-host there.
Hi, Josh.
Hi there.
So, David, you wrote a book.
I did.
All right.
I did. It's called How to Worship the Goddess and Keep Your Balls, Man's Guide to Sacred Sex.
I am so loving that. That's an edgy title.
Yeah, it is.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's actually, it was, originally I started writing it for men, and as, it's only been in print about a month, but now I'm seeing that women are buying it too, so it's sort of changing my slant on what I've written. I'm seeing it in a little bit of a different light.
Well, I mean, as a woman, when I read that, I think yes, because of course, what do I want my man to be? I want him to be empowered.
Exactly.
So I don't want him to find me and then worship me and then lay down at my feet and let me wipe my feet on him.
Right. Exactly.
That's not working for me very well at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
I think the process is the same actually for men and women. I think it's just a little bit of a different flavor, but the foundation. The foundation in the book I talk about rooting in ourselves, and that process of rooting in ourselves is the same for both genders. So yeah, and it's I was originally writing a book on sacred sex. I'd been researching the material for about 9 years, and I started out just writing a book on sacred sexuality, and I realized as I was writing that there were issues that I felt were really crucial, especially for if I don't know what you want to call it, perhaps a new man or new masculinity. There's something emerging in our society that's very powerful, and I'm watching it around me, and I'm watching some men really come into their power in a healthy way, and I'm also seeing a lot of men not. And I thought, well, if I can write something that merges sacred sexuality with that process, so much the better.
And how did you decide? I mean, were you a man that had lost your balls in a relationship at some point?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever had them for years. Yeah, absolutely. and I think it's this slow process for men of we tend to shut down from the neck to the navel.
Yes,
and we're trained as young men to do that. And
well, kind of as a society, we're kind of trained that way, aren't we?
Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of pressure to do that, and some of it's biological. I think in the book I write about how in order to prepare for war, we have to shut down our empathy, our compassion, because that's our job, to protect the tribe.
Right.
But in that process, we lose part of ourselves that's very important if we're not at war.
Hey, David, I have a technical question to ask you.
Oh, sure.
I'm getting some echoing from you on my end. Are you on a speakerphone, or what are you?
I'm not.
Regular landline?
I'm on a landline, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to try another telephone?
No, we'll see. We'll see what our fabulous producer is looking at there, but we'll see what happens here. And if because it wasn't that way first, and now it just started that way a little bit ago. So you getting that too, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let us go on. and then we'll see what we can do and if we should do anything. So men going to war have to shut down their empathy and their compassion and able to go and protect their tribe.
Yes, I think there's a tendency among men to shut off from the neck to the navel. We numb ourselves from our feelings, and then of course we're lost.
Right.
And if we're men that need to nurture a family or to have sane business relationships or practically anything, we need to have our emotional bodies activated. It's pretty important. And there's a lot of men that are really good lovers, but I sort of differentiate between a good lover and a great lover.
Yes, I definitely differentiate between those two.
Yeah, and I don't know how you and Josh feel about it, but my experience has been that the people that are great lovers are men that have the ability to be fully intimate.
Yeah, I agree. Most people stop at being a good lover, in which they think that good lover means that she gets hers and you get yours.
Exactly.
And then that's kind of it. And I see that you are definitely saying that there is more than that.
I think so. There's more emotionally, psychologically / emotionally, but I think there's more energetically too. I'm an acupuncturist and an herbalist, and I've been practicing Chinese medicine for 18 years now. And so I've, throughout the years, I've done a lot of Taoist practices with my partners, and that has added a whole other dimension to my own experience of, being a lover and sharing intimacy with somebody. So in the book, I've combined the sort of psychological issues about us getting our balls back and the energetic issues of where do we get stuck sexually, where do we get stuck with our breathing, etc.
I liked I was reading a little bit about how to find your goddess.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really enjoyed about that is you were saying, okay, so she's got to have this and this and be this and this, and where do you line up with that?
That's right.
As the man looking for the perfect woman.
Right.
Are you the perfect man?
Exactly. Well, those are the questions, right? That's the self-reflection.
Right.
It's like, yeah, and if we can't self-confront in our relationships, we're in trouble. Because if we can't self-confront, we bring a piece of shadow to the relationship that we can't access, and then that will run us, a piece of our unconscious process. Is that making sense? I don't know if I'm being too obscure.
No, you're fine. If you're too obscure, I'll restate.
Rein me back in.
I'll rein you in and restate it.
She's good about that.
I bet.
So then, in the book, do you give us exercises that we can do, or is this just a lot
the first
of
half of the book is sort of male psychological perspectives, and then the second half of the book is a combination of Qigong, which is Chinese breathing exercises and lovemaking exercises, and combined with deep tissue body work and a type of body work that emerged from a type of Hawaiian body work called Lomi Lomi Ha'a, which is was a sacred temple body work. So I've sort of aggregated these things together so that couples can experience a different breathing and body work while making love.
Body work while making love. You know that half of the American men are just going, yeah, blah, blah.
You know
whatever.
why? Because they haven't tried it.
Oh, is that it?
Oh, I can speak for that.
Yep.
You can speak for that, Josh?
Guaranteed. Once you get it. Well, some men, the book is primarily attuned to men that want to please their partner and that are cued in, whose antennae are at least somewhat attuned to their partner.
Well, I think all men desire to please their partners. I think the problem is that all men just lack serious education on how. Yeah,
and they won't ask questions, right?
Right. Well, we were talking about this, how, even if a man does ask a question, let's say he says, hey, are you enjoying what I'm doing? What do women typically say?
Right.
They say, okay, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine, honey.
Yeah,
you're doing great.
You're doing great. Wow, that's inspirational.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I like the part when you moved, right?
Yeah.
Right. The answer I'm looking for is, oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How am I doing, honey? Oh, my.
He likes that answer a lot better. So, the question...
And if she senses... I'm sorry, go on.
No, go. Talk.
If she senses that he is not willing to embrace that, to learn, to ask for directions, to read the damn manual, right?
Yep.
If she senses he's not willing to learn, she's not going to jeopardize the situation
Yep.
by saying, well, this is what I want.
Well, it's really, really tough. As a woman who's been in that situation of having to educate lovers, because you know what? No one lover is great for everybody. I mean, that's the reality. Women are like the sands of the Sahara, ever-changing, and from moment to moment, day to day. So it's a fallacy to think that you found one technique that's going to work for every woman, let alone your woman every day.
Exactly.
And I try to educate women all the time on the ability to communicate, and the most I get resistance. They say, I can't possibly tell him that what he's been doing for the last 10 years doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that would be a bit embarrassing.
Right, but this is where we are, 40 million sexless couples in the United States.
Right.
We're bankrupt in the bedroom. 40 million, and those are the ones that are talking.
So I figure I could probably sell half that many books.
Yeah.
You're on a good road.
You're hoping, yeah. Except, by the time there are 40 million sexless couples, women don't want men keeping their balls anymore.
Well, that's true. The women that I speak to about this material, they'll look at the book, they'll say, oh, I know who I'm going to give this to. And I think to myself, but wait until he gets his balls back.
Right, exactly.
What's going to happen? Because
what are you going to do?
That means that she's going to have to take her power also to navigate that.
I would love that. I mean, to have the power to just be the strong sexual woman without the man caving is so incredibly, such a turn-on. It is incredibly a turn-on. And that doesn't mean you become some major bitch screaming, commanding, do it there, do it to the left, 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 left.
Go.
I said, no, that's not the way I want you to touch me.
Bad dog, bad dog.
Get down there, give me 20. That's right. No, 20 to the other way. I think that the communication part is incredibly difficult. I know you probably have heard of erotic mapping and doing those, and may have even have this in your book, where you set aside a time that's going to be specifically for communicating about pleasure mapping and erotic mapping. And so,
no, I've never heard of erotic mapping. I live in Hawaii. I'm sort of in a backwater. This whole book is sort of a result of intellectual incest.
Well, you're talking. You're living in Hawaii. It's the Tantra capital of the universe over there. Really, I mean, you've got.
They never told me that. I should have known.
Yeah, there's some of the top Tantra people running around over there in Hawaii.
No, I'm teasing, of course, right?
Of course, yes. Right. Erotic mapping. So yeah, set aside about an hour. And whoever's going to be the receiver is laying back. You've got the lights on. You've got the lube. You've got everything right there. And the man, let's say, he would sit between the woman's legs and he would start to touch her, and he'd say, "I'm doing this. I am now running my hand, downward towards your labia. I'm doing this. I'm doing this." She would say, "Okay, I really like that." So that you're going to be communicating and talking about what you like. And a lot of times for women, I'll tell you, when a man is touching me, I'm not always clear about exactly what he's doing. Sometimes it's like, wow, that feels really awesome, and I have no idea. Are you going up and down, around and round? What are you doing?
Right, and I really like that, but I know what you're saying exactly. Like, what is that?
Right, yeah, because, if he doesn't last, don't you want to take it to your next? You know how it's kind of embarrassing to go to your last lover and say, that thing you used to do that drove me crazy, what did you exactly do? Because I want to take that information.
We're going to call this one the Venus backstroke.
I want to take that with me. Is that gauche to ask your ex-lover about
Can I have my future lovers call you?
Yeah, I have somebody I want you to meet. This is John. He wants to show you something.
Right. Well, I mean, even if he can't, that'd be really cool if he could actually show him. But if he couldn't show him, could he at least tell me? Could he write it down? Could he email it? I don't know.
Are you available Tuesday night? I want to have a friend over.
See, so I think that'd be lovely to be able to have that kind of communication, because each person does something so different, and you may not. So I do like to get feedback. I am one of those women that might stop right in the middle of everything and say, "Wait a second, tell me what you're doing." Because that rocks. I want to know what that is. I want to know why you're doing it, so that I can ask you, hey, that thing you do? I want that thing you do some more.
Do that again, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
do that again. Don't stop doing that for a while. Which reminds me of the while. When women ask a man, if a woman has enough guts to actually say, "I'd like you to touch me longer," generally men will go from the 1.5 to the 2-minute marker.
Right.
Mr. Marathon, right.
Are we there yet?
Right. Well, even in the book I talk about that, too, about, the whole process of circling in for a loving landing. And foreplay is not about, ultimately it's not about arousing somebody. It's about opening their heart.
What? Oh come on.
You just cut to the chase there,
Just my theory. I know. He's so rude.
Opening their heart. I talk about making love to a woman's soul.
How am I going to know when I'm done?
Yeah, see, Josh wants to know how he's
exactly.
going to be done.
Right, it's open-ended. Yeah. So, removing the goal orientation out of the process, frees up so much possibility and so much chi.
Yes.
But as men, we have to relearn why we think we're there. We think we're there because of a climax.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I tell men, about ejaculation mastery, or, maybe you don't need to ejaculate, they look at me like, what's the point?
Exactly.
The sad thing is women feel that. So the thing that women feel like is, even if a man is touching her, she feels like ultimately it's just the means for him to get off.
Yeah, they're essentially, yeah. And in the book, I talk about kind of the next level. I call it erotic immersion, where people are, and there's nothing wrong with it as I describe it. It's where you shut your eyes and you go into a space where you're essentially immersed in your, there's a term they used to call it, I can't remember what it was. It was sensate focus, where you lose yourself in your eroticism and you're not there with your partner. And it's kind of like you're masturbating with somebody there. There's nothing wrong with masturbation, but you're not connected.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're not present. Women feel this. The minute a man becomes not present to them, we feel that immediately. When that man I was with, who was all of a sudden just kind of going along, usually it's better with the visuals. You can't really get the visual that I'm doing, but we were having sex, so you can imagine the rocking back and forth visual here, and all of a sudden I go, hey, are you having a good time? And he's like, hey, baby, this is for you. I'm like, wow, really? This is for me? Well, what are you thinking about? Well, there's this deck I'm building, and I can't really figure out how to get this joist that I want to put in. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. We could stop now. It'd be good.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I try and open men to the potential of relating to their sexuality in a different way, so that it opens possibilities.
And do you think men are resistant to this?
Some men. And, what I've tried to do is I've sort of tried to target men that are, two types of men. One kind of man who is practicing a lot of sexual tantra but hasn't reclaimed his power. And the other kind of man that's sort of on the fringes of all that, but is still struggling with that whole sort of knee-jerk masculinity, that sort of, adolescent sexuality, which is, hair trigger and preoccupied. Preoccupied. I'm sorry, go on.
So, is the book pretty user-friendly as far as, are there a lot of big words in it, or a lot of obscure spiritual words in it, or is it pretty...
No, it's pretty, well, there's really good illustrations, and
pictures.
They're quite tasteful. And no, I think it's quite accessible, and I think as people look through it, different, depending on where they're at in their lives, different pieces will emerge that they will find useful.
What can you give us? Can you read us some chapter titles in it?
Sure. Let's see. The part one is finding and keeping our balls. The first chapter is establishing our roots, other men, selecting a goddess, preparing for relationship, embracing our goddess, losing a goddess, and then passing it on to our sons.
Ooh,
Part two is Rivers of Love, which is the whole arena of bodywork and qigong together while making love, and then breath, qigong, alone and with a partner, and then what I call chi release or touch, and then different styles of touch, and then communion is actually love making when you're doing bodywork and breathing. Then there's a section on ritual, which is rituals for couples to do when they're doing Rivers of Love, and then infinity practices, which are infinity practices are more like what you were talking about with erotic mapping, in the sense that they're totally non-directed. When Rivers of Love practices are very directed, in that our intention is to arouse and please our partner. Infinity practices are open-ended and without a goal.
I love having this, and I loved what you said about passing it on to your sons.
Yeah, that's really important.
Well, yeah, who else is going to teach them, right? If we,
Not going to happen in school.
No.
Not going to happen.
Hopefully not.
Hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah, they're not going to get it from their friends. Exactly.
I don't know. It depends on whether the friends have their balls or not, right?
Right. And which school they went to, I guess.
Yeah. And I've been recently involved with a group called the Mankind Project.
Yeah. Do you know Quinn Coombs?
I do not.
He's pretty involved there. Garth Brooks, I know all these guys too.
Oh, great. Yeah. And they do very impressive work, and they're starting to do work with young men now, too, some mentoring, which is quite wonderful.
Well, young men need the role models. They don't have them anymore. They don't have the warriors anymore. I mean, where are they? And so your first chapter there, finding and keeping your balls, is that what it is? So, how do you even know if they're missing?
You know, because that's a really good question.
Thank
How
you.
do you know if they're missing? You know they're missing because you are not being honest with your partner. And honesty about important things. I mean, your partner says, "Do you like my hair?" She's having a bad night. You don't think you're not crazy about it? Sure, say fine. Yes, it looks nice, honey. That's fine. But if you're dishonest about important things in your relationship, you've lost your balls.
So when I talk about honesty and authenticity, and I think of those two as two different things, I always talk about talk about losing integrity. Because honesty, when I tell men, I want you to be honest, I get things like this. Oh, yeah, we're walking down the street. Yeah, I want to bang her, then I want to bang her. And I really, God damn, look at her. Just this, that's honest.
Was it something I said? Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, what is your definition then of...
Well, I think that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it before, but I think you're exactly right, Tanya, that what I'm talking about then is authenticity. I'm talking about communicating what's really important to your partner. And communicate it in a healthy way, in a way where you're not making demands. You're just putting it out there, and you're having the balls to stand by what you believe in, what you know to be true for yourself.
So is that a little bit like having your mission as well, right? We talk about men having a mission so they're not derailed all the time.
Yes, except I think it's deeper. I think it's somatic. I think it's visceral. But yes, it's like a mission without words. It's like knowing, it's coming home to ourselves.
Well, that is a lot of work, and you're covering that in a chapter, I am looking very forward because coming home to yourself.
Home neurosurgery in 20 minutes.
Well, I know. I mean, really, this is like taking and whose balls do you find to put back on, and where were yours when they were missing?
And of course, we never actually have lost them. We just lost access to them. They're there.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's really a matter of uncovering who we are rather than becoming who we think we ought to be.
Reactivating the balls.
Exactly.
Reactivating the balls. We are.
Get the paddles out. We're gonna.
I'm getting a Frankenstein image here.
I know.
The lightning and the
it's
the
alive.
monster is born.
It's
right?
alive.
Exactly. The gray hair.
Yeah.
They're alive. They're alive. Woo! We're going to go ahead and take a break here, and we will be right back talking to David Leonard about how to worship the goddess and keep your balls, which I think is a very timely, it's a wonderful title for one, and I think it's definitely a timely book. We'll be back in just a few moments.
One of the 40 million sexless couples in the U.S.? Are you wondering why having sex leaves you feeling lonely? Are you suffering from the myths of sexual dysfunction? Do you know in your heart that there has to be more than what you're currently getting out of making love? To rid yourself of sexual ignorance, get more out of your lovemaking, and find out more about spiritual sexual connection, then you need to check out www.thetantrateacher.com to receive your free copy of the ebook called Secrets of the Tantra Teacher. Don't suffer another minute without the sexual loving and ecstatic bliss you were born to receive. Get to www.thetantrateacher.com right now. That's www.thetantrateacher.com.
Is your sex life non-existent? Do sexual dysfunctions leave you soft? Is internet porn getting more than you are? Or are you paying more attention to porn than your partner? Have you tried talk therapy and it got you nowhere? You are not alone. You can be freed from sexual shame, guilt, and dissatisfaction. A visit to the Tantra teacher is in order. Call now and mention you heard the Tantra teacher on the radio and get a very special offer. Stop waiting for a miracle and call right now. 206-276-2735. Phone consultations or in person will get you the information you need to be successful in your love life. But you have to call now. 206-276-2735. Stop making excuses. Call the Tantra teacher. 206-276-2735.
We are back talking to David Leonard about how to worship the goddess and keep your balls. And, of course, during the break, we had to talk all about balls because that's what we were doing.
Yep.
Manscaping. Do we wax them? Do we not? Do we decorate them for holidays? What about Hanukkah? What would Hanukkah balls look like?
What would Hanukkah balls look like?
Does that mean you light them?
You take one away each night.
So I'm
yeah, all 12 of them, exactly.
Right.
Women are doing all this crazy stuff with their womanscaping and stuff, and so manscaping, I guess we have to do a poll. We'll have to do a show on that once.
We've got body work, and we've got Qigong, and, temple body work, and this could be a whole other level of rivers of love.
That's right.
Yeah.
The whole, and if you do it together, because then there's that waxing, you hold each other through the...
I'm not sure if that's a good thing to do. Well, yeah, you could
do your mantra as you're waxing.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can take this.
Do your mantras and your ibuprofen.
So there are a lot of women that really, really want men to step up, and whether that's to keep their balls, get them back, whatever they're doing, find somebody else's. Josh's look was funny.
Rent a set.
Do a rent a
set.
Rent a set.
At least to own somebody else's balls. I like that guy's balls. I think I'll take those.
You could double tuxedo prices if you could set a pair of balls with that.
But in the same token, women are also afraid of, they're not really quite sure what to do. I remember the first time a man with balls approached me, I was kind of like, whoa, what's up with him?
And Tanja, how did you know? How did you know he had balls?
Because he was confident, self-assured. He wasn't, cocky, or he wasn't showy, making a jerk out of himself. But he had sexual vitality. He had presence. He was, he was in arousal without making it be about somebody else.
Got it.
Yeah, he was in his own vitality, his own potency. And,
and
every
what was
woman.
Your fear in that situation as a woman? What was your fear? What was your concern?
Well, I had never come across anything like that before in my life. I could feel him, 50 feet away off my back shoulder. It was like, wow, what's going on there? And I turned to look, and he's walking across this field with every woman in the place just going, and the men, looking at him like, wow, who's that? And it wasn't that he was a 10. He was probably a 7 if you were just, taking geometry. But he was smoking hot. He was just something.
Yeah.
And he was very, the women throw the word, they want confidence. And I just recently heard a survey that women will give up looks, money, and everything else for a man with integrity.
I read that too, and isn't that amazing? And men are, of course, different, but we knew that.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, isn't that amazing that integrity ranks so high on a woman's values list?
Well, and I liken it to saying, when I was talking about a mission, and you're talking about something even more subtle than that, but when a man has a mission and he's solid in his statements, you can take his word to the bank. Why women love that so much is because when they tell us they love us and that we're sexy and beautiful and they're going to be with us, we can believe it.
That's right. Because if he'll tell you the truth about something unpleasant, when he tells you the truth about something pleasant, he means it.
Right, exactly. And I think we're really, really lacking a lot of that as women. And it's scary because when a man shows up like that, you realize, he's showing up, and that means you, as a woman, need to step into a very different place. This is not a game playing. This is not game playing.
Right.
He's not. He's playing for keeps. He's not. He's either telling you, I want you. This particular man wanted me, and he said it's just going to be this weekend. I'm just here for this weekend. Before he touched me, before any of this, it was like, I just want you to be clear. I want you. I'll only be here for a weekend.
Right. He was telling you his truth.
Right. And I thought,
and
wow.
That's what you mean by authenticity.
Right. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
so he was leaving me with my dignity, my respect, and anything else. If I wanted to play, that's great. This is how it was going to be. And that was fabulous. Hands down, probably still one of the most memorable weekends of my life.
That's fantastic.
I know. And,
You were there.
Hey, where is he? Oh, by the way, if you're listening,
He arrived
Come
with his
back.
Ball. He arrived with his balls and he walked out with
he
them.
did leave with them, too. I didn't take them and put them on my mantelpiece.
Right.
So are there women trying to take men's balls?
Well, that they do, of course, and there's a lot of women out there that, and they see how far they can get at taking those balls. But ultimately, if a woman is rooted in herself, she's going to know she's going to have the same paradigm. It's going to be, I'm going to speak my truth, and if it doesn't work for him, then it's not going to work.
Right.
And I don't have to play games with this. I don't have to control by withholding. I can be straight up. And if that man cannot rise to the occasion, then that's it.
And we're not talking rise to the occasion. We're talking
No.
rise to the occasion, yeah.
Yeah, if that man can show up in a significant way,
Right.
then yeah. And it's funny because you had mentioned, being a 7 or a 10 or whatever. In the book I write about, our inflatable goddess, and one of the mistakes men make. I mean, most men are visual, and that goes without saying. And
We're
men are
all
attracted to
visual.
younger
We're
women.
all visual.
Yeah.
I'm visual too.
But I think that, one of the mistakes men make is because they're not in line with their values. They will reject somebody out of hand who's not physically attractive enough for them,
Right.
without exploring.
Well,
And in that, they cut themselves off from really profound experiences.
Yes. Yes, and, I have plenty of men calling and emailing me to help them over their, they've created these neural pathways using porn to unrealistic images
Right.
in their pleasure centers. And so now I've got phone calls, and emails coming in saying, can you help me get over this? Because I'm really stuck on this one specific body style. I'm not finding it. I really like this one woman, but I can't understand, I really want her to look like this, but I understand, they understand it's messed up.
Yeah. Does the name Pavlov ring a bell, right?
Exactly.
They get stuck in these loops, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
So I have men coming actually up and asking me about that, and women as well, saying, how unrealistic, or what do I have to look like to be attractive?
Tragic, in Worship the Goddess, to talk about it in terms of young men, young males. Adults, we can navigate that stuff okay. We get stuck sometimes. But, like I say, I can't imagine, if you want to learn to be a really bad lover, just watch a lot of porn and do what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
So for a young man who's vulnerable and starts believing that, you've got trouble.
Yes.
It's going to alienate him for a long time from his partners.
Yeah, there is nothing quite like having some man slap you on the butt saying you want it. Boom, you want it. You want it. I'm thinking, really, not so much now.
Right.
A second ago was okay, but
yeah, that's just not working. So unless you want me laughing, in which case that's okay too, because laughing is really good. But I think so. You're talking about I like that inflatable goddess. That's quite funny.
And the pitfalls of that, the dangers of getting so stuck on this, somebody that's been reupholstered or as a cartoon image that we lose the what it's all about really, which is about connection.
Yes. And so how do we bypass? Do you actually address how a man can bypass just being into his visual center? How does he recognize his goddess if he isn't just using his eyes?
One of the ways that I try and communicate that in the book is by talking about this body work that I was describing well, first off, we have to have a different approach. We have to recognize that we have to be willing to explore something different and just see what happens. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but we have to explore it and give it a good chance. When you when you're with a lover and you're in bed making love, there's degrees of pleasure and interaction and communion. When you add to it certain types of breathing exercises and certain types of body work, it turbocharges it. And I think if a man were to experience that work, he would start to say, oh, there's something here I'm missing. There's something that I'm overlooking. There's something that I can pursue in this that will serve me and that will nourish me in a significant way and not just get me off. Not that there's anything wrong with getting off, but there's things beyond that.
Not just getting off.
Deeper.
But he has to go past, that's once you're in the bedroom, but he's got to go past that out in the meeting. There was a guy once that I met he had an online profile, and I met him, and I thought what I was fascinated most about was what he wrote. The type of woman I'm looking for is a woman that I would generally never go out with. He was looking for women that were completely not his type so that he could have a complete new experience.
Fantastic.
And I thought that was absolutely
How cool is that?
Brilliant. I think my videographer here, are you videotaping my breasts here, Mike? I've got my videographer here too today. He's doing some interesting things.
Well, I have the perfect face for radio, so we're doing great.
Right, perfect face for radio, great. Well, you've got a great voice for radio, so that's wonderful. So I think that a lot of us are not willing to go out of our comfort zones, in who and what we're looking for.
What I see with men is, and I see this a lot with men that I know, they will, basically we only change when it's too painful not to, right? As humans, that's kind of our nature. And men are no different. And I see men not doing their work, not self-confronting, and their partners just saying, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working, until the woman finally reaches threshold, leaves. He's great for about 3 days because he's free now. He can do whatever he wants.
Right.
And then on the 4th day, he crashes and burns. He comes completely unglued. And then he comes crawling back, begging for, to be, admitted back into the palace, and she's done with it. I think, it's kind of like hitting bottom. I think that for a lot of men, that's what it will take. I mean, in my men's circles that I work with, that's what I see. I see men, they have to really, they change when it's too painful not to. So unfortunately, I think a lot of times that's what's going to happen.
So I coach people to not move away from pain, but move towards what they want.
Exactly.
Because
the pain is where our healing is.
Well, the thing about when we're running away from pain, though, frequently we're not looking where we're going. So, but you're talking about, men that are hitting their bottom and then having some conscious revelation. Because most of the time we hit the pain, we start running away from it, and we run headlong into whatever is standing in front of us without looking.
That's right. Or we grab the first ring we can find.
Right.
And when we're in crisis, in the book I call it cracking open the heart. When we're in crisis, there's a door that appears that doesn't normally appear in our lives, and we can go through that door, and that's where our healing is, and that's where our balls are. The balls are behind that door, in that pain. And if we don't do that, eventually we'll heal, and that sort of heal, and that door will close. And we get maybe 4, 5, 6 times in a lifetime to go through that door. And that's when I coach my clients, that's what I talk about, because a lot of them are in crisis. And I'll say, look, this is where the pain is. This is where your healing is. If you want to get your balls back, that's where you go.
And so you are doing coaching work as well then?
Yeah, I do coaching and consulting, yeah.
Okay, and do you do that via the phone or in person? Or?
Yeah, with a phone or Skype.
Okay, and why don't you give us, you have a website, I'm sure.
I do, yes. It's davidbruceleonard.com.
David Bruce
Leonard. 3 first names.com.
davidbruceleonard.com. And that has all your information on it, how to buy your book, and do you have any other books out?
I do. I have a book of, I'm an herbalist. I've been studying Hawaiian and Chinese herbs for 20 years, so I have a book out called Medicine at Your Feet, Healing Plants of the Hawaiian Kingdom.
Cool. Excellent.
I have 2 more books coming out on medicinal plants. One is called Listening to Plants, A Gathering of Friends, and the other one is called Edibles at Your Feet, Healing Wild Foods of the Tropics.
Nice. I'm day 2 on a raw vegan diet right now.
Oh, good for you.
Look at me, and I'm so calm, and I'm handling it so well. Thank God I didn't have the radio show yesterday.
We're very proud of you.
You're very proud
very
of me.
Proud
Thank
of
you.
You have a lot to be proud of.
And the book is also available at Elliott Bay Book Company.
Okay.
On South Main Street in Seattle, and also on Amazon.
Excellent. And where are you located?
I'm in Maui, and I'm moving to Ashland in mid-August.
Ashland, Oregon?
Ashland, Oregon, correct.
Yeah. From Maui to Ashland. That's going to be an interesting journey.
Yeah. There's all these whole new series of plants to learn, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I am still... Your book's doing well, yes?
Yes.
Only a month out. It's doing well. Mm-hmm. I think, I'm looking at that. You were so interesting when you emailed me, and I think you were asking me about, or saying something about the title. What did you say? Like I shouldn't, were you apologetic at first? Or?
Right, don't let it throw you or something like that when I emailed you.
Wasn't it supposed to?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, really.
But I'm not supposed to, but I won't admit that publicly.
Okay, all right.
Right.
Just to thousands of people all over the world right now. But
right,
other than
exactly.
that,
It's a gimmick.
all right, yeah. Because to me, how to worship the goddess, and keep your balls. That was perfect. I would. That's why I'm interviewing you.
Oh, that's great.
Because
that's great. Well, one of my patients is a fundamentalist Christian, and she had looked at it and she really liked it, but she said none of her friends would ever pick up a book like that.
That said, keep
so
your
it's
balls
double-edged.
on.
I'm hitting some of the market segment, but there's other people that I really would like to reach who are wonderful, more conservative couples that need some of this work. That so it's walking that tightrope.
Well, it's definitely gonna be there. I mean, we're being hit from all segments. There's a guy named Robert Irwin who is the Christian marriage Tantra dude. I mean, he won't use the word Tantra,
right.
but he is great sex for the Christian couple.
That's great.
Yeah, and so he's really hitting that up. He's got great marketing. He's got great products. He was brave enough when I went onto his blog and said, somebody said something about Tantra on his blog, and they were saying, oh, well, you don't want to be involved with Tantra because it's a cult and, these type of things. And I wrote on his blog a comment. I said, it's interesting that you're teaching everybody Tantric techniques, but nobody's actually wanting to use the word. Why is that?
That's interesting.
And he left it on there, and he even commented. I said, I am a Tantra teacher, and I'm a Tantra teacher that doesn't believe that all Tantra is about sex. I said only 3% of Tantra even has anything to do with sex.
Right.
And I said, you're using those techniques and some Taoist techniques and ancient techniques here, and perhaps, saying it's not a cult, and these techniques come from a place of wanting to love each other better.
Yeah, this is just what I call soft technology.
So soft technology, I love that.
Yeah, this is soft technology. It's like it's a way of, it's like a meme. It's an abstraction that we can apply to our lives to make profound, physical and emotional changes.
Do you address in there the thing that about men and most men's sexual esteem being tied up in giving a woman an orgasm?
I do, and I talk about in the book. I talk about that. I mean, we kind of went through the 50s and 60s when women had to learn how to have orgasms. Now that we've done that, I know there's probably a lot of people that still don't and can't. But
yeah, pretty high percentage.
Oh, okay. But ultimately, we need to go beyond orgasms to a place where because I talk about where it's like our proving ground. Like that's why women fake orgasms.
62%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and really the orgasm is hers. We don't give it to her.
Yeah.
We facilitate her own climax. So we don't own it. So it ain't ours.
Right.
And I think that's really important that I discuss how it's almost like that. I had a lover once years ago said, "Oh, I'd never fake an orgasm with you," and I just started laughing. I said, "Fake away if you want. It's fine with me, I'm you." If you don't want to give me what you want, then I don't. Whatever turns you on, honey.
If you want to, if faking them does it for you, that's fine.
That's fine.
Because
really.
your goal wasn't about her orgasm.
Exactly, and my self-esteem isn't wrapped in her climax.
Yeah.
My self-esteem comes from me checking in my roots and seeing how I am in the world in comparison to the man I want to be.
So you've used the word root several times, like if she's in her root, if he's in his root. What does that mean?
Well, in the book, I use a metaphor of two trees that are next to each other and they're both rooted. If their branches are entangled but not enmeshed, people in a relationship, their branches reach out to each other and they touch and they connect, but they're not leaning on each other. They're both fully rooted. And if either person is not rooted in themselves, that's what David Leonard calls differentiation. If they're not rooted in themselves, rooted in who they are, they can't navigate the relationship because they can't speak their truth. And they can't stand in their partner's fire when their partner's angry. So that rootedness is a knowingness. I describe it as being as unmistakable as an orgasm for men. Once it happens, it's like getting hit in the head with a brick.
So what does that feel like as a man to be rooted?
For For me personally, it's felt like it happened to me when I was 36, and I all of a sudden realized who I was in the world. And it's a checking in process, and I've seen women do that too. You know, women that are differentiated, they basically know who they are. And in that process of self-confronting and in the process of just doing their work, facing who they are, you know, showing up, you know, accepting the parts of themselves that they don't like and then working with those parts, recognizing them, and then owning them.
Is this something, do you think, that people can do on their own, or is this something that everybody needs help with? I mean, how did you come to finding yourself?
I did therapy. I've had the same therapist for 20 years. She's fantastic.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. But I like the work, too. I enjoy the work. I don't know if you can do it. I think people can do it on their own if their parents model it for them or they have models as a young person. And you can teach this to kids. I mean, it's real easy. A kid will come up, a toddler will come up and say, ba, 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 and you say, what do you think about that? Or what do you feel about that? And then they tell you, and then you don't comment. You leave it alone. And then you do it again 2 or 3 times, and that's all it takes. Pretty soon, they go, oh, I can check in myself to see what I'm feeling.
Yeah, my daughter, when she was, I think she was just 4, taught me actually about that, about her. So obviously somewhere along the line I did a good job before that, but at 4 we'd had this, she'd been at dance class, and there were only enough pink scarves for everybody but her to get one. And she loves pink, of course. And she either had to have a pink or a blue one, and the one girl wanted the pink one, and so did she. And she ended up giving the girl the pink one and taking the blue one. We get in the car, and she's crying and crying and crying. I'm like, what's wrong, honey? And she goes, I didn't have the pink scarf. And I'm like, really? I said, well, you're probably tired. She's like, Mama, I am not tired. I didn't get the pink scarf. And I said, well, honey, why don't we go buy a pink scarf, and that way you'll have a pink scarf. She goes, Mama, it's not about that. And she's still crying, and I'm like, honey, you're crying. Are you hungry? Mama, it's not about being hungry. And I'm like, well, honey, I don't understand. And she said, Mama, I wanted the pink scarf, but I gave the pink scarf to the other girl because she would have been sad too. And I got the blue scarf, and now I'm just sad about it, and just let me cope. Wow.
That's fantastic.
I mean,
cope?
Yeah, cope. Oh, she's used words like negotiate and compromise it too. Asked me about her authentic truth about 6 months after that particular comment. But, I mean, it was a perfect example of me as a parent trying to give her reasons for her behavior. And thankfully, obviously in the beginning part of her life, I had done enough that she decided that, you know, I needed some remedial training. And that, no, this wasn't it. Her authentic feeling was this, you know, and she needed to be sad about it. And, yeah.
And when you see it in children, it's remarkable. I mean, I see kids like that, and I just love them because I know that they're going to be sane adults.
Well, we're hoping. I'm sure I'm messing her up some other way, but
well, we all shadow.
Isn't that our job? Is to at least give them different dysfunctions than what we have?
Exactly. Spread make a little variety.
I know.
So that's what rooting is. It's about that process of checking in and then owning who we are, and that's what I mean by, you know, finding and keeping our balls. So
we have to go through our fear. We have to be able to look at fear.
Absolutely.
So we have to be able to also lose things. And
Absolutely.
to stand and say what we want and to say our truth in compassion and understand that we may not get what we want because we're not manipulating.
That's right.
Is really what this is about.
That's right. And that pain that we feel when we confront that fear, as we move towards our fear, the pain we feel means we're going in the right direction. That's a Geiger counter. The closer we are to our pain, the closer we are to finding what I feel is true freedom.
So I've been doing great over the past few weeks. So you're telling me?
Me too, man, I tell you.
Have you been doing great, Josh?
I don't know. I've been on the edge of pain, you know?
Josh has been going through some personal issues that are definitely leading him on the edge of pain.
I know the feeling.
Now, does this give you more clarity, Josh?
It helps.
Do you feel like this is helping, that you're on the right track? It helps. I'm
reaching down for him, you know?
You're trying to look.
Are they there?
Are they there?
Wait, I felt something.
Do you know they make prosthetic balls for dogs? I mean, do you know that, David?
I just have a pair that I could keep in my pocket?
Yeah, I mean, sure, we could find a pair. Yeah, for men who have to have their dogs neutered but can't stand the thought of their dogs being ballless, they actually make fake prosthetic balls that you can have put in your dog's testicles.
And this is their best friend. They cut off their balls and then give them fake ones. No?
Well, somehow they just can't stand to be seen with a dog that's ballless.
Right.
Might
be contagious.
I'm really not sure what to.
It's a great market.
Maybe it's a metaphor for how they feel. They feel ballless, and so they have to. And there's different sizes to give your dog too. This is insane. I mean, how crazy is this?
Mm.
I mean, my dog needs.
Lucky I live Hawaii.
My dog needs the big ones.
Do these balls make my butt look big?
So I want to take a thank. Greta Morrison wrote something very nice. She said, "Tanya, you sound so cool. I hope the goddess blesses your socks off. Have a great weekend every weekend." Thank you, Greta. So, David, what do you want to leave us with here? What are some of? It's profound to get your balls back. It's profound to understand what rooting means and the fact
I think two things. I think one thing I'd like to leave your audience with is that our pain points to our healing.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to leave them with is being willing to step out of their comfort zone sexually. And yes, you might lose your erection, or you might not work the way you want to, but try it.
Yeah.
Explore those things, and you can always go back.
Isn't that weird that when men lose their erection, it's like the whole game's off or something?
Exactly.
What's up with that?
Right. I received once. Well, are you okay? I'm sorry. It's like, hey, that's not the center stage. We got plenty to go with. We got feet, hands, tongue. We got plenty to work with here.
That's right. Yeah. All of a sudden they're quadriplegic, right?
Right. We can't do anything. Step up.
And what else do you have for us? So step out of your comfort zone sexually.
Yeah, and buy my book.
Well, of course. Buying the book is the big...
Yeah, I think there's for the men that are sort of that are involved in Tantra and sacred sexuality, but are not feeling solid in who they are. Go to a men's group. Do some work on yourself. Be around other men in a safe environment. I have to stress a safe environment where they're not going to lie to you. Other men will tell you the truth in a very strong and compassionate way. Seek out those men, because those men are going to help you find your way home.
So instead of just having, guys' night out where y'all go drink beer and get drunk and talk trash about women and watch sports or whatever, that's not really going to help as much as actually
trying to get laid.
Well, all those things help. Beer, sex, it all helps up to a point, and then it's counterproductive.
Right. So men's groups, meaning get together with some men. Hey, we're going to have an intentful time of maybe walking in the woods, talking about these things. Jeez.
Or go to mankindproject.org.
Yes.
See what those men are doing. There's lots of men's groups around, and join one and or do therapy, do your work.
So a lot of men think that men going to their men's groups are going to turn into ballless wussies.
No,
they haven't met the men in my men's groups, I tell you. Oh, God. Oh, my God. These guys will tear your lungs out.
They'll hold you to the fire.
They'll hold you to the fire?
Oh, yeah.
Because Mike over here was saying, yes, he, in his age group, the men he's been talking to would say, yeah, men's groups, that's a bunch of pansy-ass wusses.
Yeah, we're no longer singing Kumbaya.
No.
No. So mankindproject.org.
Mankindproject.org, exactly.
We'll have some good men. And I've actually I was invited to one of their ceremonies when they'd all come back from something that they had done. They definitely seemed empowered. They were definitely man walking in their vitality. The other thing I would leave men with is to be in sexual vitality, you have to learn ejaculation mastery. You've got to stop letting all of your life force be gone. And that means that all that endless seed spilling everywhere into the sock and stuff has got to stop.
Shave on laundry, too.
And no spanking the monkey before dates.
Oh, stop.
That's old, worn out, yesterday's news. That is not, because you're
Walk into that date fully vital.
I know, because otherwise you're just trashed and non-aroused. Okay. David, thank you so very, very much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Tanja.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And looking forward to, really exploring that book with my group. And
fantastic. Any feedback is welcome. Negative feedback is more than welcome. So.
Awesome. Well, I will certainly let you know what we think. And learningtantra.com, we've got our toes to the fire. Got a book due by the end of the month, and we've got 10 products due by the end of the month, and we are on fire. I've got several coming out.
Cool. What's the working title?
I'm just... You've been lied to. It's not about the orgasm. You've been lied to about sex is one of them.
Oh, fantastic.
And we will, yes, we've got workshops. We've got all sorts of things pumped up for you, getting videos on YouTube. And we've got some great bloopers from some of the things we've done. So it was great having everybody. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Billy Mike can't talk. He doesn't have a microphone, so he's waving. And thank you all out there for making us possible. And we will talk to you next week. Bye.